Not yet, Chair. I think we still have like 2 minutes before our meeting starts, Chair. Let's give them like 5 more minutes, Chair. But I will also indicate on the group chairperson to members
Okay.
to log in.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Yeah.
Chairperson, we only need one member, Chair. I don't know who is CR iPhone. We just need one member to form a quorum, Chair. Let's give it 20 seconds. Thank you, Chair.
Good evening. I will quickly check on Makaha. I don't see him on the platform.
Good evening, Chair. CR iPhone is my phone. Clinton Hyman, acting DG. Thank you.
Evening, Chair. Yeah, no, now we have a quorum, Chairperson.
Rosie, is the chairperson here?
Yeah, he's been here, Chief. He's been here.
Okay.
Unless he recused himself without notifying the meeting.
Recording in progress.
Evening, Chairperson.
He's gonna log in now. I just spoke to him.
Okay.
Sure.
Good evening, honorable members.
Good evening,
Good
Chair.
evening, Chairperson.
Am I sufficiently audible?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
except for
Chair.
that loud voice at the back.
But it's not me. I'm all by myself in this house.
It's me. I'm on the bus. I just finished meeting, but I will mute.
Okay. Good evening, honorable minister and your team. Good evening, honorable members. Good evening, support staff. Can we actually hear the apologies, get the apologies, if there are any?
Good evening, Chairperson. Chairperson, I have not received any apologies at my office, Chairperson. Thank you, Chair.
But have you checked who is actually on the platform and who is not on the platform?
Chairperson, it's only Honorable Boschhoff that I don't see on the platform, and Honorable Isaacs.
Oh, okay, no, that one is understandable.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, no, thank you. Can we then have our agenda adopted? It's just a one item agenda. This one, it's only about the briefing by the Honorable Minister of the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development, after which then we will close the meeting. Is there any proposal for the adoption of this agenda?
Yes, Chair.
Is that Honorable
Adams is-
Adam?
Yes, Chair. I move for the adoption as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any seconder?
I
Yes,
second,
Chairperson, I
Dalane.
second.
Honorable Ndalane seconds the proposal to adopt the agenda. As I have actually greeted all of us, I do want to welcome you all to this, our special meeting. The committee actually has not yet had an opportunity to engage directly with the minister on the department's budget. In our last meeting, honorable members will remember that the committee felt it could not proceed to the House for the budget vote debate without an opportunity to hear from the minister on his budget. For this reason, this special meeting was then convened. So it's actually convened to afford the minister and the committee and an opportunity to engage on the budget before the budget vote debate tomorrow. So without any further ado, I will hand over to the Honorable Minister to actually make his presentation. Honorable Minister.
Greetings to you, Honorable Chair. And I'm just showing my face so that you are sure that it's me. And then I would ask for a permission to hide my face, Honorable Chair. For network purposes.
Oh, yes. No, thank you.
Yeah, right, Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, members of the committee, GM Matabata, Acting Director General, and all officials of the department. Thank you, Chairperson, for making time for this engagement on the strategic interventions aimed at reducing potential underspending and improving APP performance in the year 2026-2027. My understanding is that I was not invited to repeat the speech I'll deliver when the figures and spending trends will be presented. Today's engagement, as I understand it, is meant to examine thinking behind those numbers and how can we improve performance. It is important that the Portfolio Committee clearly understands what we are doing. I must tell you that it took time for the department leadership to fully appreciate the strategic directive I had issued. My perspective was not that of an outsider. I approach these matters as a former member of parliament who witnessed the passage of these laws in this house. Even so, substantial corrective work was still required. As we alter the course, we move a systems thinking approach. We are not merely as an assembly of individual components. Our analysis found that the department's ability to achieve full performance has been constrained by three main factors: a poor understanding of its constitutional mandate following the separation of the two departments, insufficient staffing capacity, and a toxic working environment inspired by competition for positions currently held in an acting capacity. With new clarity, we thoroughly examined our department's mandate to enhance shared understanding. Additionally, we explored avenues to surpass expectations in delivering public value. We appreciated that we are not only vital to the organization, but also instrumental in shaping the nation's future and improving the lives of countless rural communities. We are now committed to ensuring that acts of parliament, cabinet policies, departmental strategies, and standard operating procedures do not remain mere documents. A practical example is the swift implementation of the acts promulgated by the President last year, specifically the CPA Amendment Act and the Electronic Deeds Registration System. We are revising existing legislation to assess whether it has been properly implemented. We are invigorating Upgrade Land Tenure Rights Act, as well as the laws relating to the farm dwellers and labor tenants. We are reviewing policy and procedures that makes governance slower. For example, if we had changed the way 42C post-settlement from Restitution Act will be handled in the future, we cut some committees that were approving these grants. We must shift our mindset from that desire to attribute blame to other things or other people. The intervention for the coming budgetary cycle, investment in holistic and land development will accelerate the processing of 42C grants by reducing approval steps. We are also establishing panels of engineers to speed up the use of grants for farm dwellers and labor tenants, ensuring adequate funding for holistic land development, including both pre- and post-settlement support. 2, policy reform for land support will develop and implement a new policy for land support packages, along with updated policies on beneficiary selection and land allocation. In the beginning of June 2026, we'll be internally adopting this new policy, thereafter taking them to the stakeholders in the executive branch of government. 3, building a case for reparations and mindset change. We will strengthen the case and institutional capacity to pursue reparations while implementing a mindset change program for beneficiaries and rural communities. Invest in our people, strengthen staff skills through continuous monitoring and training. Recognize and celebrate successes, however small, to maintain high morale. Motivated teams are the backbone of effective service delivery. This will start with the appointment of the Director General and filling in the 522 vacant positions. I want to, sorry, Chair, I just have some. I was born before technology, at least, Chair. But yeah, not like you, Chair.
Please.
Sorry, Chair. Excuse me.
Chairperson, that's why we ask for hard copies. Always
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
closed.
Yes. Yes. So yes, that's why I'm getting through. I'm winning, Honorable Chair. So, Chairperson, the work of the department remains guided by the constitutional imperatives relating to land reform, restitution, tenure security, spatial transformation, land administration, and rural development. These responsibilities are central to correcting the spatial, economic, and social consequences of dispossession, while building an accountable and capable land administration system that supports development. For the 2026-2027 financial year, the department's focus is directed towards strengthening implementation capacity, improving governance and accountability, accelerating land reform delivery, modernizing land administration systems, and improving service delivery to citizens and beneficiaries. The annual performance plan is therefore not merely a planning document. It is the department's implementation instrument for translating the strategic plan into annual targets, budget, responsibilities, and measurable performance outcomes. The committee has correctly emphasized that the budget vote must show how resources will support implementation and how the department will account for progress against the priorities it has placed before Parliament. Over the medium term, the department's budget amounts to approximately 32.1 billion and an allocation of 10.336 billion for the 2026 and 2027 financial year. The primary cost drivers include restitution compensation, compensation of employees, rural infrastructure support, land administration functions, property payment, computer services, and transfer to departmental entities and accounts supporting implementation of the department's mandate. Chairperson, the 2026-2027 budget vote is also supported by spending plan that seeks to improve implementation and expenditure performance. This is the second budget tabled under the department following the National Macro Organization of Government process. The department is therefore continuing to stabilize its post-demerger operating model and to improve institutional alignment between its mandate, structure, budget, and implementation. The department has recently embarked on a departmental restructuring and alignment project supported by an experienced private sector technical team aimed at strengthening institutional alignment, operational efficiency, and implementation capability. The project is expected to be concluded during Q3 of the current financial year. The restructuring process is important because the department must ensure that its organizational design supports its constitutional and legislative mandate. It must also reduce over-reliance on acting arrangements, improve technical capacity, support service delivery, and clarify functional responsibilities following the national macro organization of government realignment. Chairperson, the department has carefully considered the recommendations emerging from the committee process at the ATC report. In this regard, 2026-2027 APP and the budget vote place particular emphasis on strengthening implementation capability across land redistribution, restitution, tenure reform, communal property institutions, rural development, land administration, entity oversight, and governance. Key areas of focus during the current financial year include strengthening post-settlement support and intergovernmental coordination mechanisms, improving institutional capacity through organizational restructuring, vacancy filling, and implementation delays. Vacancy filling and technical capability support, improving expenditure performance, and reducing implementation processes. Strengthening governance and compliance support for communal property associations, modernizing land administration systems, including the electronic deeds registration system, strengthening monitoring, reporting, and accountability mechanisms across programs and entities, improving operational alignment following the national macro organizational government support. The department also recognizes the importance of improving coordination between national and provincial structures, strengthening support to beneficiaries, improving governance oversight within entities and trading accounts, and ensuring that institutional reforms translate into measurable implementation outcomes. In relation to land administration, the committee has raised important matters concerning the pace of redistribution, the need for a clear measurement framework, the declining allocation to land reform programs, and the need for better integration of post-settlement support. These are matters that require continued engagement across government, including with the National Treasury, the Department of Agriculture, provinces, and other relevant organs of state. The department will continue to strengthen the link between land acquisition, land allocation, land development support, and productive use. This includes improving the way redistribution progress is measured, distinguish more clearly between state-led redistribution, market-based transfers involving historically disadvantaged persons, and other forms of land acquisition that contribute to the broader transformation of land ownership and land access. The department further recognizes that land reform cannot succeed where beneficiaries receive land without coordinated support. The 2026-2027 implementation approach therefore places emphasis on improving post-settlement support through better coordination across production support, infrastructure, finance, market access, extension services, and enterprise development. This will require continued collaboration with the Minister of Agriculture, provincial departments, municipalities, development finance institutions, commodity organizations, and other partners. Honorable Chair, under Program 1, Administration, the department will focus on governance, financial management, institutional realignment, audit outcomes, and strengthening internal systems. This remains important as the department continues addressing capacity constraints, skills gaps, vacancies, and ICT limitations arising from the demerger process. Administration is not simply a support function. It is the backbone of the implementation. If governance, procurement, ICT, human resources, legal services, planning, monitoring, and financial management are weak, then the program performance will also be weakened. For this reason, the department is strengthening its internal management systems, improving compliance controls, and aligning operational planning with APP and budget. The department has also put measures in place to improve spending efficiency. These include improved alignment between budgets, demand plans, and procurement plans, monitoring through budget forums and quarterly performance meetings, weekly monitoring of restitution payment processes, and strengthened oversight of project implementation to reduce delays, cost escalations, and poor workmanship. Under Program 2, Honorable Chair, Land Administration, the department will continue work on deeds registration, geomatics, spatial planning, and land use management. This includes the modernization of land administration systems, strengthening cadastral and spatial information systems, and supporting municipalities and provinces on spatial planning and land use management. The Electronic Deeds Registration and Recordal Systems Amendment Bill remains an important legislative priority for improving the efficiency and modernization of land administration systems. This work is linked to broader efforts to reduce manual processes, improve turnaround times, strengthen the integrity of property records, and support a more efficient land administration environment. The department is also aware of the committee's concern regarding vacancy rates and technical capacity within the National Geomatic Management Services and registration of deeds environments. The restructuring and alignment process, together with targeted filling of critical posts and skills retention measures, will be used to strengthen these technical areas of the department. Spatial planning and land use management also remain central to the department's contribution to a capable state. The department will continue supporting implementation of spatial planning frameworks, improving intergovernmental coordination, and strengthening planning alignments across national, provincial, and municipal spheres. This is necessary to support more coherent settlement patterns, infrastructure planning, land use decision-making, and investment coordination. Under the department's broader legislative framework, work also continues on the Equitable Access to Land Bill, the Land Survey Amendment Bill, the Communal Land Bill, the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Bill, the Planning Profession Amendment Bill, and the Rural Development Bill. The legislative program is intended to strengthen the statutory basis for equitable access to land, secure tenure, modernized land administration, improved spatial planning, and rural development. Under Program 3, Honorable Chair, land reform and restitution continues to receive the largest allocation, with the department reflecting government's continued commitment to accelerate land redistribution, resolving outstanding restitution claims, strengthening tenure reform, and improving beneficiary support. The agricultural land holding account has budgeted 1.092 billion for the 2026-2027 financial year, with approximately 95% of this allocation directed towards strategic land acquisition. Land development support and property management. The allocation will support the acquisition of 35,000 hectares of strategically located land and provide support to 27 farms through infrastructure, machinery, production inputs, and technical support. The department also continues to strengthen post-settlement support and improve alignment between land acquisition land development support, and broader rural development interventions. This is important because the value of land reform must ultimately be measured through improved livelihoods, productive use, tenure security, enterprise development, and a sustainable economics. In respect of restitution, the Commission on Restitution of Land Rights remains central to the constitutional mandate of restoring land rights and providing equitable redress. For 2026-2027, the Commission plans to recommend 307 land claims for settlement, settle 307 claims, and finalize 284 land claims. In respect of restitution, the Commission on Restitution remains central to, okay, I've done this one. Over the medium term, the department plans to finalize 869 land claims at an estimated cost of 11.9 billion, with continued focus on claims that have remained unresolved for extended periods. The department recognizes the committee's concern regarding outstanding claims, settlement timelines, expenditure patterns, and implementation constraints. The Commission will therefore continue strengthening reporting, monitoring, and operational support at national and regional levels. The committee also raised the need to strengthen institutional capacity within the Commission, including technical capacity, vacant posts, and regional operational support. These matters will be taken forward within the broader organizational alignment process and through ongoing engagement on the financial and human resource requirements necessary to improve restitution outcome. Chair, tenure reform remains one of the most sensitive and important areas of the department's work. This includes labor tenant matters, farm dwellers, communal tenure, community property associations, and other tenure-related interventions. The department recognizes the committee's concerns regarding alignment between the annual performance plan, annual operational plan, and court-approved implementation process in relation to labor tenants' claims. The department will continue working to improve coordination between national and provincial offices, the special master and the courts, and to strengthen capacity dedicated to labor tenants matters. The department also recognizes the need for regular reporting to Parliament on labor tenants claims and labor tenant claims settled, claims referred to court, budget expenditure, staffing levels, and implementation challenges. Communal property associations also require stronger institutional support and oversight. The department recognizing that CPAs are a critical part of land reform governance, but that many continue to experience governance failures, disputes, maladministration, elite capture, and weak accountability. For this reason, the department will continue work towards strengthening the independent CPA office, improving compliance monitoring, supporting dispute resolution, and broadening support beyond governance training to include mediation, conflict resolution, customary law expertise, and institutional support. Chair, the Office of the Valuer General remains central to the land reform value chain through the provision of impartial, efficient, just, and equitable property valuation services, supporting land reform and related acquisition processes. For the current financial year, the OVG's APP focuses on organizational excellency, credible valuations, improved public trust, and digital optimization of valuation services. The committee has correctly raised the importance of institutional stability within the OVG. The department recognizes the need to finalize and approve a permanent organizational structure for the OVG and to strengthen leadership, accountability, and continuity within the entity. These matters will be addressed as part of a broader institutional stabilization and entity oversight process. Under Program 4, Chair, Rural Development, the department will continue supporting rural infrastructure, rural youth development, and socio-economic initiatives aimed at improving the quality of life in rural communities. Rural development remains a multi-sectoral undertaking that requires coordination across government, and alignment with local realities. The committee has raised important matters concerning rural infrastructure funding, intergovernmental coordination, impact measurement, and the need to ensure that youth development programs create clear pathways to skills utilization and entrepreneurship and sustainable employment. The department will therefore continue strengthening rural development coordination mechanisms, improving monitoring, and working toward clearer measures of impact relating to infrastructure outcomes, economic participation, job creation, and community well-being. The department recognizes the rural development cannot be reduced to isolated projects. It must support economic inclusion, improved access, service delivery, livelihoods, and the capability of rural communities to participate in development. This is the basis on which the department will continue to refine rural development implementation during the current financial year. Honorable Chair, the Ingonyama Trust Board remains one of the entities requiring strong governance oversight and clear alignment between its legislative mandate, operational model, funding framework, and developmental outcomes. The department has noted the committee's recommendation regarding measurable performance indicators, transparent reporting requirements, beneficiary criteria, support to traditional councils, and the material interests of beneficiary communities. The department will continue strengthening executive oversight over ITB to support improved governance, compliance, and accountability. The department also notes the committee's position that relevant findings and recommendations arising from current review process should be submitted to Parliament and implemented within defined timeframes once concluded. Chair, in conclusion, the APP also responds to cross-cutting challenges identified by the department, including limited funding, staff capacity constraints, reliance on manual processes, weak coordination across spheres of government, client dissatisfaction, and inadequate ICT systems. The planned intervention include automation of manual systems, vacancy filling, skills development, improve intergovernmental coordination, stakeholder engagement, and ICT investment to improve implementation capability and service delivery. The department also recognizes the importance of improving revenue management and financial sustainability within the trading accounts in relation to ALA. The department has developed revenue improved interventions aimed at improving data information, billing accuracy, collection measures, escalation of contract breaches, list monitoring and reporting, and support to beneficiaries to improve productive use of allocated land. The financial management measures are important because improved revenue collection, better list administration, and stronger property management support the accountability and sustainability within the land reform portfolio. The department recognizes that the committee expects measurable implementation and improved delivery outcomes. We therefore approach this engagement with an understanding that Vote 42 must demonstrate how resources, governance systems, targets, and institutional reforms will translate into implementation on the ground. The department remains committed to working constructively with the committee to improve accountability, implementation effectiveness, expenditure performance, and measurable developmental process. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your presentation. Honorable members, I will now give this opportunity to honorable members to ask clarity-seeking questions or make comments on the presentation that the minister has just made. And I will recognize hands. Is there any hand that is up? I will ask the
Chair.
support staff to actually identify hands for me. That's Honorable Adams' hand.
Ndalane.
Okay. Honorable Ndalane.
Honorable Mkhacha, Chair.
Honorable Mkhacha. Is there any other hand that we may not be
Chairperson, I'm not sure if it's Honorable Maseko.
Maseko.
Honorable Maseko and Honorable Nyambose, Chair.
Maseko and Nyambose.
And Honorable Mutama, Chair.
Honorable Mutama, Chairperson.
Mutama. Yes. Anyone else? Okay. Let's start off with Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me also open my video so that you can see I'm not a robot. Thank you. With your permission, I close my video, my camera. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. And let me greet all the members on the platform, the minister, the staff of the portfolio committee, and also the staff of the department. Chair, it's very difficult to follow the presentation because we don't have received any documents related to the presentation that we receive. But nevertheless, Chairperson?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, although
Okay.
the quality of your voice is actually not so good, but we can follow. I think I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Chairperson, my questions to the Minister will be, what are the main cost drivers within budget vote 42 for the 26-27 financial year? How does the department intend to improve audit outcomes and internal control during this APP cycle? What measures are being implemented to prevent corruption in land acquisition and beneficiary action process? And then that questions was related to the financial management and governance. And related questions from women, youth, and persons with disability, Chair. What percentage of procurement opportunities within the department is allocated to women, youth, and persons with disability and enterprises? And then how many youth-owned farming enterprises are currently supported through department programs? And then, Chairperson, what I noticed from the presentation when the minister was spoken, he mentioned that, if I'm correct, 552 vacancies. My question is, Chair, what was the reason for not filling these vacancies long ago? Is the department having heavy workloaded backlogs on work not to be done because of low staff? What is the department personnel percentage on these? Hence, these vacancies is not filled, and what is the plan for filling these vacancies? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. I will now give the opportunity to Honorable Ndalane.
Thanks, Chair and Honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister. And good evening. And my question is, I think some of the questions are covered. What consequences management action were taken regarding irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure identified by the AG? And then under women, youth, and person with disability, what targeted intervention exists to improve access to land ownership for women in rural areas? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ndalane. Honorable Mkhaha.
Good evening, Chair. Good evening, honorable members. Good evening, everybody in the platform. No, two clarities from my side, Chair. Maybe it's good that we had this session so that we could identify some areas. I don't think we'll do justice in dealing with this report tonight. I'm sure Minister must avail himself so that we exhaust this report. Chair, the first clarity is in relation to the bills, outstanding bills, particularly the bill on redistribution. How far are we with that process? It's very critical because we're heading now towards the end of the term. And we thought by now we would be making some progress as far as that is concerned. Two, there's an allegation, Chair, that top officials of this department who were managing both rural land reform and rural and agriculture stole land or farms before they left. And I'm saying it's an allegation. Every top officials has left with a piece of land. Do you, as a minister, intend to investigate such? I mean, we do have Omadlanga today. Do you have an intention to investigate such allegations? I know there might be allegations that were not formally presented to you, but these are allegations. And for me, there's a sense of truth in those allegations. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhaha. Honorable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. And again, thank you, Minister, and the officials that have joined, and good evening, honorable members. Chair, I think the first thing that we have to talk about is the reason that we met tonight is the issue of we were presented with the budget, the APP and the budget where the executive authority and the accounting officer were not in the meeting. And that has to be highlighted that it's a worst case scenario that has happened in this committee because of it was difficult for us to even, I mean, now we are trying to get a grip of how can we go about, because the minister has given his report, the overview. And we are trying to see how can we navigate to can be able to can talk to the budget itself. But the reality of the matter is we've got the department chairperson that SIU says the skills capacity dololo. The Auditor General comes and says skills capacity dololo. The department is infiltrated by the corruption. There's no consequence management that is being recorded. And we've got underperformance also and underspending. So, like I said the last time in the meeting, that in reality, this department is redundant in the performance with what every stakeholder comes and give us the report about the department. They're saying that no, nothing in principle is working. And the unfortunate part of this is the department that is really have to be in the heart of the country at large with the land reform and trying to correct the past. Now, the budget that we received after we saw the report of the third quarter that there was a 0% of the performance, it would have been nice if the executive was there to can try and take us into confidence of the way forward of how is the minister going to make sure that for this financial year, the money that gets to be allocated is going to be spent where it's supposed to be spent. Looking at the SIU report that we received of the millions that are not spent where they're supposed to be spent, we can talk about the budget has to be approved and all that, but the intended usage of that finance, is it going to be implemented or not? It is not going to be like that because there's nothing that is giving us the confidence as a committee of saying that is going to happen. When you look at the methodology for the setting performance targets of the department for the 2026-2027, the department said to us that the APP performance plan were developed using an integrated evidence-based methodology that combines baseline analysis and trend analysis and resource-based consideration. But when you look the AG, where identify the risk and say what needs to happen, it's still in process. Others are not implemented. So when you use that methodology, the second point, they say the historical performance data was used. There's a really appalling performance when you look at the data that the department has to show us. And that is in establishing the credible baselines, what baseline are you really using? And what targets are you using? Because it's flip-flopping that there's underspending of the budget that is allocated. So it's a little bit difficult from our side as an oversight umbrella in making sure that there is an allocation of the budget that has to go to the department and be used accordingly. Now we have to really buy the vision that the minister have. But the reality on the ground, Chairperson, is something that there's no way that it can be a norm. And we wanted this engagement for us to be part of that change of saying, Minister, we cannot continue having this abnormality to be a norm. We refuse to be part of that. So, Chair, if we can get maybe from the minister or any person in the department that if they say they've got the trend analysis informed by the identification of the realistic performance trajectories in assessing their historical patterns, growth rates, and areas requiring improvements or correction. Which baseline were they using when underperformance is almost everywhere? And then who's going to implement those as they don't have the skills capacity as every stakeholder that has come in before us has indicated to us? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Maseko. Honorable Nyambose.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings to honorable members, greetings to the Minister, Deputy Minister, and our fellow officials. I think Honorable Masego is right in saying this meeting is now a confluence of one, the hearing of the minister's statement for tomorrow's budget delivery debate. Yet there are also other outstanding matters which are now linked and connecting with the presentation that will be done tomorrow. But in trying to squeeze all of that, I will just use an art of being able to pronounce on the issues. One for me is the flip-flopping that we are seeing in the Ingonyama Trust. On one moment, we are seeing that the board is established, is working. One moment, there are issues such that now, when you go to Ingonyama Trust Board, they came and gave their side of the story. And the minister has not given us his own side based on what Ingonyama Trust Board has told us during their visit. As a result, so we are hanging on that, and yet there is an issue of their budget allocation. We need to know whether where are they standing with you as the minister on that, because definitely there seems to be a serious clash and a tension. Furthermore, when you listen to the King's office, you also hear that whatever is happening at the board level and at the ministerial level is actually not tallying. So it means all these three institutions, the King's, the minister, the department, and the board, there are serious issues that needs to be resolved. But obviously, it's not the time now. We're just raising that because it's appearing as one of the items on your budget, which should be allocated for. Going forward, the issue of Ingonyama Trust being presented here already is having what we call in law a legal expectation that in other provinces you will have amakosi. So it means the issue of amakosi, it is still catching up with the Department of Land Reform. Yet also we have a CPA Act, which is taking the place of amakosi. Yet on the ground, the situation is different. You will have Inkosi, then you will have the CPAs that have been created in the same land, and which is causing a clash. And now, as you present here, these institutions are clashing actually directly against one another because the other Amakosi lodge claims. But when it's time for delivery, the delivery of land is no longer going to the claimant, is now going to the CPA, which is a breach in law because you are required to produce a reference number. Did you make the land claim? If you did, you must produce. And there was no CPA at the lodgement of from 1940 till 98. And this is where now we need to clarify people. How do we justify CPAs receiving land which they didn't claim, irrespective of them being the community, but you are refusing the one who claimed the land to be granted that land? That's the issue which land reform must explain. We also had an issue of issues that are arising from SIU, in as much as those are issues of cases announced by the president for them to be pursued. It has become very clear that we have serious SIU cases that have been lodged on issues of land. And I don't know in terms of APP, where do those issues fall, because they remain a thorn in the flesh of the department, but they never get addressed in the Department of Land Reform. Yet at the same time, people who need answers are the same communities that we go to. So if you can also clarify us as part of your annual performance, how do we gauge you in the performance of the resolving of cases that have been lodged? And then I'm also picking up, how can we structure a working relationship between land reform and agriculture? Why? Because in the rural development component of this department, we find emerging farmers. But these emerging farmers, they are now labeled as agriculture. Then they don't get attended to in land reform. They now have to go to agriculture, yet they need land, and land is sitting with this department. So there is a need for a working relationship so that we don't work in cross purpose in serving the same person that requires land and requires agriculture, but because we have a demerger, then it looks like these are two entities, yet they are serving the same rural community at the end of the day, which happens to be a competence of this department. And then, so that is where we also need actually your directive as the minister on how we go about this. Other than that, other issues will ventilate them out post this budget debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Nyambose. Honorable Nkletama.
Thank you, Chair. Also, we greet the Minister, the Deputy Minister, and all the colleagues on the platform. Chair, we are communicating with the Minister very calmly right now. But when we had decided to insist that the Minister and the DG are part of this meeting, it was as a result of seeing a serious crisis of delivery. The targets are not being met, and it's an endemic crisis at many different levels. So the first thing was that the minister should have apologized and provided some kind of explanation about this absence. We can't just carry on as if we are not dealing with a serious crisis in our hands. The plans provided by the department have nothing to do with delivering land at the scale required for us to even meet the very limited National Development Plan target. The crisis of the Ngonyama Trust is endemic and is just going on. The crisis of the CPAs is another. So this is a crisis-driven department with a minister who's absent. And the minister now comes before this committee and is not even providing an explanation or even just a message of apology for his absence. We are now meeting a day before the budget vote as a result of the absence of the minister and senior managers in the department. And it is accepted as normal that we have this situation, which is absolutely abnormal. And if we accept it and normalize it, we ourselves as a committee, we shall be part of the processes that leads to the dysfunctionality of the department. The department is dysfunctional, Minister. That is the impression that anybody looking from outside, looking inside, will come to the conclusion of. As I say, it was shocking to look at those figures of delivery, just to see how far off the planned targets the delivery levels are. So, Minister, we have a serious crisis in our hands. Personally, I'm not even sure if that ministry and that department has got anything to do with delivering land and making sure the historical questions are addressed. It is very disappointing. It is a matter that I think as a committee we must take seriously and insist that the minister accounts. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Honorable Nkletama. May I hand over to the minister and his team for responses?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'll hand over to the acting DG and the officials. But before doing that, Chair, let me talk about the Honorable Mutama calls it absence. Let me talk about the fact that I did not attend the last portfolio committee meeting. Honorable Chair, as you know, I've submitted an apology. As you know, Honorable Chair, that Wednesdays are for cabinet. I know for a fact that on the day in the cabinet, we raised sharply the fact that we are there in cabinet and the portfolio committees are sitting in parliament. And the president also doesn't want apologies on cabinet days. To a point that we have even suggested that the deputy president, who is the leader of government business, must engage the presiding officers in parliament and come up with a clear strategy of how are we going to attend both portfolio committees and cabinet. It's something, Chair, I could not control, and I also know that the deputy minister was sick and was in hospital, and she underwent operation. So, but be that as it may, Chair, I'm ready to submit my apology on behalf of both the department and myself and the deputy president and the ADG, who was in court, because the acting DG was in court in KZN, dragged to court by Ingonyama Transport. But nonetheless, Chair, I apologize. Also, Honorable Chair, let me state it here before I hand over to the acting DG that I've written to the acting DG and asked him to talk to his DDGs and all senior managers of the department. I need a clear explanation of the performance, especially of the third quarter. So I have done that, Comrade, Honorable Chair. And with that, Honorable Chair, let me hand over to ADG to respond to questions of the members. Through you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe before the acting DG responds, I just want to underscore what Honorable Kutama has actually said, and also to say that he is actually not articulating a personal concern. It is the concern of the committee as a whole, Honorable Minister, that we really need to urgently find a formula that would enable the Minister to actually respond to our invitations, because we are also affected in our flow of oversight work if we do not get regular interaction with the Minister. In particular, is the report that you are referring to, Q3 report, which actually has astonished all of us, the level of poor performance in that report. Because now our fear is that what can you expect from the fourth quarter if the third quarter report is like that? So we had wanted to have an adequate, time to thresh out issues in that particular report, which I think we still need to have that kind of time very soon, before long, so that we are able to interrogate those issues, because ignoring them and going forward as if nothing has happened will be actually deceiving ourselves that this department will ever be able to meet its own targets. So I just wanted to clear that Honorable Kritama is indeed expressing the concern that the committee actually expressed at our last meeting. Okay, thank you, Honorable Minister. Can we
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
To the officials?
Thank you,
ADG.
Chair. Yes, I'm here, Minister. Can you hear me clearly? Am I audible?
Yes, DG, you are audible.
Thank you. Chairperson, committee members, I also just think, let me start off by also apologizing for my not attendance of that third quarter report. I note that it has created some serious issues in terms of the way that the department looks. And I do also present my humble apology for that that event as it happened. I think then I'm going to go on to discussing some of the items that were raised. I think firstly, we need to look at what is the main cost drivers in this budget, vote 42. And I think the core concern here was rather whether the money supports the delivery or administration. And when one looks at the budget for the 26-7 financial year, the main cost drivers are restitution compensation, land acquisition, land development support, the compensation of employees, rural infrastructure support, and then there's office accommodation and lesser things, property payments, computer services, etc. So the largest program allocation still goes to land reform and restitution by far. With regards the item on why should the committee trust the 26-27 budget and that it will be spent properly? I think your key concern is obviously underperformance, underspending, weak confidence in implementation. And I think this concern is noted. The 26-27 budget is supported by spending plans. We've developed a spending plan. We've got our demand plans in place. We've got our procurement plans, our budget monitoring, quarterly performance reviews. And we also look at a project oversight. The department is working very hard on strengthening its financial management controls and implementation tracking to improve expenditure. And I think we need to also acknowledge that the demerger, and we keep going back to this, but we haven't come out of the demerger unscathed as a workforce in general. What has essentially happened, and we have referred to this in previous sessions, so I'm not going to go on, but is the core positions have been either left with the Department of Agriculture when they left, or, for instance, our Chief Director, Supply Chain Management. That's a key position in our department. And unfortunately, government planning and project management really hinges around how well you can manage or project manage a supply chain. And for us, this is a key area. We did try to bring in an official from National Treasury, which was coming on a secondment basis, and then at the last minute, National Treasury withdrew that person. So we've had to make do with some junior staff, and I'm not saying that the junior staff are at all incompetent. I think what they've done in the last year is they've learned a lot about taking accountability for positions that are higher and in acting positions. And I think we've all had to step up. And I think the comment made by the honourable member also regarding all the acting positions, where are we? So I think that the department is strengthening financial management controls, and we are looking at implementation tracking and improving expenditure performance. I think one of the key things is we are seriously taking the AGSA reports and preliminary findings into consideration so that we can fix this system that just isn't functioning at 100% right now. I want to then go to the issue of posts, the 500 odd posts, and I'm not quoting the number correctly now, but it's just over 500. The posts that are vacant in the department. Now, to fill those posts would cost far more than the COE we currently have. We currently have got 72 posts out on advert, and we're busy finalizing those. Some of them are already closed, and some of them are already being shortlisted, etc. Now, the question would be, why the delay? When we demerged from the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, becoming our own department, the assumption, and I suppose this is there's always a problem about making assumptions, is that we would be able to use the old EE targets that we had for the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development and just continue them into the current administration as an interim measure. We got legal opinion on this after we had the unions and a number of, the unions raise issues about the EE targets. We got legal opinion, and the finding on that legal opinion was that we should rather go and indeed get the EE targets ratified by the Department or the Minister of Labour. So we did that, and we are now, it took some time, but we are now able to fill the post because we've sorted that matter out. So that did delay us. The other issue, and it's a complex matter, and I think as we came out of the INMARC process, one of the key things that the department had to do was to ensure it creates a new realigned structure that's fit for purpose for this department. And I think Honorable Mthethwa will agree with me when we look at Section 27 of the Constitution. What is land reform and rural development in terms of that? Yes, we also speak to 26 and 27, but 25 specifically. And in this regard, we are saying that we need to have a department that functions as land reform and rural development. And we now need to somehow demerge this perception that exists that land reform is also linked primarily to agriculture. There is a Department of Agriculture, and that's their function. So as we go on, we have taken some time, and you know, again, struggling with procurement, we have managed to appoint a very competent service is on board. The EXCO has given them full go-ahead to implement the redesign process of the department, and we're looking at finishing that by the third quarter of this financial year. As of the 1st and 2nd of June, we will also be having a workshop with all the DDGs and the service provider to really kickstart the process. We've got our change management champions in place through our EXCO processes, and we are working very hard to make sure that we at least get a structure in by the time that the expenditures forecasts are needed, so that we are in a position to actually start with on the 1st of April with the new budgeted structure. We know, I think, and this is the hard part, is we know that we're not somehow miraculously going to find another bulk sum for COE. So we're going to have to restructure very smartly. We're going to have to restructure to a very different looking department. We're going to have to look at, again, go back to Section 25, look at what we have to do, what we are mandated to do by the government. And then when we've done that, we will then design the structure that will then develop the policies and then look at the bills and the legislation. And we've been, I suppose, criticized and possibly rightly so for the slow production of bills to come out. Some of the bills were supposed to come out last year. They didn't come out last year. They didn't come out this year. Now they target for 2027. And we can go into the details of each bill. But I think the minister has also categorically stated that he has to, in order to ensure good governance, ensure that the bills that we create now are in line with our fit for purpose and realigned mandate of this department without agriculture. Because if we don't do that, we're going to have bills that again need to be reviewed based on a changed direction. We're not saying we're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater in any of these instances. However, we do believe that we understand and we have a much clearer picture when you take the agricultural component out, that there's urban land, there's city land, there's peri-urban land, there's rural land, there's a traditional and communal land. And all of these things function around access. And that access has to come from the previously disadvantaged community. The other problem with this access is that when we look at the economics and economic deprivation of the communities that we're seeing, Our land reform beneficiaries, through our beneficiary selection program, unfortunately, when you look at section 25, you will note that, or you apply that, you'll see that some of these beneficiaries will never get access because they don't have the financial means for access. So we need to look at a total redesign. You'll notice that when we select farmers, we for instance, and just linking to the women, our beneficiary selection process looks at 50% of our farms must be allocated to women. There's also a target for youth and people with disabilities. But the reality is that if we don't, if we are, let me put this clearly, if we are unable to put this into perspective, and if we're unable to find the funding to help all these people that are not bankable because of this socio-economic deprivation that happened because of the apartheid system and the regime, we will not move land access forward. We're putting a lot of money into agriculture to support our beneficiaries through the Land Development Support Program. We're putting a lot of money into supporting communities all over the country with projects, the Rural Development Program that helps in a number of areas. But the reality is that we need to strengthen the way, the size and the measure that we apply so that we can get more people access to land. And in some cases, it may be improve titling. How do we, as a department, title better to ensure that the properties in the towns and the townships are better titled so that that's access to land? The other thing is, how do we use Spluma? And how do we work with municipalities to ensure that this spatial justice starts happening? Do we buy land that in areas where municipalities can actually close the gap between the old white urban settlement and the township, or do we help there? And I think that's part of the questions that we have to really ask ourselves. The minister has called also for a policy a week, whereby these are things we're going to be discussing in the second week of June, to look at these policies, specifically short-term, the policies that we need to fix as we look at lease to title arrangements in the country. So these things. Then let me not go on anymore on that issue. On how much resources go to women, and I think we note the concern here that gender equity in resource allocation and beneficiary support is important. So on this, the department, we say women are a priority, and they're not just a minority, they're also a priority, a 50% priority across redistribution, restitution, tenure reform, and CPAs. We must admit that we don't necessarily always make those targets, but it is something that we strive to do to ensure that these targets are met in line with government policy. I think that the department is strengthening the gender disaggregated reporting so that we can also look at how we can in future better report and show how the promotion of the resources and support reaching women and youth and vulnerable groups is showing. And I think the devil, if I can use that word, is in the detail. And we have to have better details. And we can't say that we have all the details now, but we need to build systems put in place. Then I think what baseline was used for the APP targets, when you look at when historical performance was poor, and I think when we look at the APP for the current financial year, we had to go with realism. We understand where we stand in this of 2026 to 2027, with things not in terms of structure not changing, in terms of people not changing, in terms of appointments being done but not changing significantly, and also the realignment and redevelopment process. So we've had to come back with a very realistic APP that looks at our current risk areas that we do have, and we acknowledge them up front. But we can only build back better if we are able to weather the storm. And when I say the storm, this is the storm of the 500 odd posts that are vacant. This is the storm of ensuring that the department that is split from us, leaving us with the systems and the people that we currently have works better. And I think we looked at trend analysis. I think we've had presentations to the PC to show that certain areas there has been a decline in the numbers that we're putting out year on year. But again, resource availability and implementation capacity are key to this. The department also accepts that past underperformance must inform this more realistic planning, stronger monitoring, and clearer corrective measures. I think if you look at a lot of the underperforming from the 2 previous years, we had under expenditure, and that expenditure related mainly, and you'll see it again in this financial year, from the commission side and some under expenditure from rural development side, but that we can highlight. Now, the commission's under expenditure resulted mainly from a period where we've been using a banking system to pay beneficiaries that was not supported by National Treasury or the Auditor General of South Africa. And we were then instructed to use a National Treasury system. We've complied with that instruction, but this very instruction has resulted in technical problems being identified in the National Treasury system and how we use it, and the experience that our people that load the payment parcels onto that system are finding. And we definitely aren't pointing a finger here at National Treasury, but it is a change system that was working well for us and that we now have to adapt to and make sure that the staff are trained, that the issues that we found on the system, and one of the issues I just want to point out, and I myself have also tried to intervene with the Accountant General on this matter with National Treasury and the DG, is one of the issues that happens is we get 100 payments, parcels. We process all this work, we make the payment, and then when this 100 parcels go through, there's one person's details in that 100 of, let's say, I'm going to make a very strange figure maybe, but let's say a payment of 100 Rand doesn't go through, or 1,000 Rand for that matter. There's a problem. What happens is the system rejects all 100 loaded payment parcels, and then the staff start recapturing from start again on the same system. So sometimes it's a bank account that has been frozen by the receiving bank because the funds haven't come in a certain time. Other times there's a error in an ID number or a account number, or the account number for different banks have different codes to them. So some banks work with a 00 upfront, some banks don't have that. And if these things aren't tracked with precision, then these payment parcels. So yes, there was under expenditure in the past financial year. And obviously we're waiting for the financial statements and everything to be finalized now. But you'll find that this is part of the major problem with the restitution over the commission. And it's something that we're definitely going to be looking at this year. I've already asked that the Accountant General let us meet with the banks so that the banks can check the details, so that we're sure that the details that we have are aligned to the banks, and that when we make those payments, we don't have this rejection of the events. Then the next question I want to talk to is, how will targets implemented if the skills and capacity shortages? I think vacancy rates are as a concern as you indicated, members. The technical capacity and the reliance on acting posts. I think the department has embarked on restructuring and aligning the alignment project. We've got this private sector team involved. And we also have to look at operational efficiency here. And I said it this morning, and I think I can say it again, is that we have to look at our ICT systems and look at bringing in alternative ways to do research, to capture, to check information, to validate information, to design products. And we've all been reading the news and noticed the dangers of AI. But AI has the ability, or artificial intelligence has the ability to automate a number of things much quicker. The problem with this is we need to build in responsibility, that it remains the department's responsibility to show that what we are processing is also good quality when it comes out. And that's the thing, is the responsibility of the department to verify that whatever goes in and is processed and is worked on comes out as accurate and verifiable. I think there's a term for this. It's called AI slop, S-L-O-P, AI slop. And we don't want to develop AI slop, but we're looking at a number of ways to speed up restitution. The Chief Land Claims Commissioner is working with our cloud service provider to look at how we can speed up these restitution claims by automating and creating agents that work on documents, check documents, verify documents, and then give it to people to recheck, to verify that the sums, that the reasoning is correct, and that we can speed up that process. And so we are embarking on a pilot where the commissioner and her team will let one team work on a paper-based solving a paper-based case, and we'll also put a team of we call them AI agents to solve the same case, so that we can see what the outcomes are. And this is one of the areas. The other areas that we're looking at strongly is document management in the department, and I'm very excited. My DDG Corporate Services, Mr. Lupongela, is working on this with his team on how we can make sure that our document management systems are, and they look obviously at international examples, best case studies, and working with our service providers to do this. The other area that we see great potential for is on the geospatial side of things. And we now have in place the tools and the infrastructure that we can really speed up things like the cadastral information system. We also are working on the EDRS system, and I must compliment the team of the Chief Registrar of Deeds when we had the unfortunate event of the burning of the building in Umtata. Just the fact that we had that whole office was an electronic deeds registry office. We lost equipment. We lost documents that were in the office, but we didn't lose anything that was in the system because of the electronic deeds in the area. And the important part is that that office was able to open 72 hours later in another location. There's a lot of questions about what about the deeds that were being processed? Well, the good thing is that the conveyances that were dealing with those deeds obviously had copies, and you could understand when a fire breaks out that these would then be resubmitted but it did show that the benefit of the digitization process. Then, what is the minister doing about the Ingonyama Trust Board? I don't want to say too much about this. The concerns here are always governance instability, board tensions, unclear accountability. And I think the minister, and I'm speaking for the minister, but it's not my place, but we as a department note the concerns regarding governance. We understand that it's our responsibility as a department to make available the quarterly funding that runs the I forget, the ITB itself, not the board, the secretariat. As we work through these issues with the board, I know that we've already commenced in the department to support the minister in preparing the documentation for the appointment of new members to the board. If I'm correct, there's 4 members remaining plus the chairperson of the board and the sole trustee. And we will then start doing that. So there is proactive oversight over the board. Yes, there was a court judgment. The court judgment was clear, and the minister didn't, and the department didn't at all oppose that specific judgment on Part A. And I think it shows some maturity in the matter. It's a very difficult process when courts get involved, and we still continue as a department to work with the ITB. We're still waiting for certain financial statements that are due. And we also note that there have been certain delays, but the reality is that executive oversight continues from the side of the minister within the applicable framework to ensure that improved governance, accountability, and compliance and alignment with the material interests of the beneficiary communities. Then how will the department address conflict between traditional leadership and CPA structures and CPAs? Now, the concern here, the core concern is obviously that there's tension between CPAs, traditional leaderships, and claimant communities. And I think the department recognizes this, that some communal land arrangements create governance tensions between the CPAs, the senior traditional leadership structures, and the beneficiary communities. And I think the work that we're currently doing to strengthen the CPA support with the registrar, the deputy registrar, and the recent appointing of additional deputy registrars in every province is there to support compliance, monitoring, dispute resolution, mediation. And I think one of the areas that we really need to focus on here is mediation, and the other one is training. I've already spoken to our DDG Corporate Services and made proposals to the Department of Higher Education for a package to support training of CPAs. I need about 15,000 Rand per person to train 10 people per CPA over the next short to medium term to ensure that the CPAs have the necessary skills to deal with the various areas of and the amendment of the CPA Act did obviously bring a lot of additional work to the department, and the idea and the objective of that was to ensure that these CPAs are functioning far better than they currently were, with the interest of all the beneficiaries and not just a few at hand. So that's where we are. Then there was question 8, where do SIU related land matters fit into the APP? Now, the SIU related matters are handled through governance, legal and compliance, and consequence management processes. I think it would be useful at some point for us. We've just had the SIU presentation to the Portfolio Committee, which Mr. Lupongela did attend on behalf of the department. Unfortunately, our head of forensics was forensic investigations internally. The chief audit executive was not available on that day. But I think what we've noted from the presentation is that we are doing a detailed audit of every single matter over the years and what has happened in the department and what the outcome was of that, so that we can provide that information very clearly. We have inherited from the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development Aids a huge backlog of these cases, and we are dealing with them as quickly as we can. I was actually speaking to the DG Corporate Services today on the matter, and the reality is that we only have so many employee relation staff. The previous department appointed legal teams to investigate and to speed up the process. However, evidence showed, and we actually put a halt to that process because evidence showed that we were getting caught up in such deep legal matters that we weren't resolving very easy, well, not easy, but we weren't resolving some of the consequence management that we could have done through internal processes. And when I say this, there's various avenues for the department to follow. Instead of appointing, for instance, a legal team to look into somebody who didn't sign a document in 2015, we could have rather looked at what the issue was in 2015, looked if this person has repeated the offense since 2015, and maybe a final written warning could have been a better solution to say, don't do this again, or else this would be, the consequence. In some cases, people are suspended for a certain amount of time without pay. So all these options are available. But I think where the previous department got caught up in is too much litigation and not enough dealing with the matters in the department. So I think that's one of the areas that will help speed up this. I think the minister's made it very clear he doesn't stand for corruption. The department doesn't stand for corruption, and we will deal with anybody that is shown to be doing work that is not in the interest of the state or is corrupt, that we will deal with these matters going forward quite strictly. Yeah, I think how the other question 9 was, how will the department work with agriculture after this demerger? And this is the big concern, is how do land reform beneficiaries who need both land and agricultural support now work? What the department has done with the minister and the guidance of MINMEC, we've with the provinces, we've agreed to implementation protocol. Our DDG Rural Development, Ms. Tandi Moyo, has been drafting and working with the provinces. We've already got 2 provinces that have signed this implementation protocol or a cooperation agreement. And this is how we believe that we can make sure that our beneficiaries still get agricultural support through this cooperation agreement. Some of the other items that we need to look at is how do we start moving the agri-park facilities that are currently on our books, the farmer production support units, how do we move these to the provincial departments of agriculture so they can run and support farmers in general in an improved way. The department therefore recognizes that land access and agriculture does link, but after the demerger, coordination with agriculture is very, very important, and that's why we've gone into these cooperation agreements. So, I mean, I'll have to stop talking at some point, but I would then give some of the DDGs that are also online to talk to some of these issues that we're raising. But I think there are solutions where this is where cooperation becomes key. where we can support our farmers on our land. If agriculture, for instance, can't do it, then how do we support? Joint planning is important. Beneficiary support, alignment, and operational coordination at the national and provincial structures is vitally important for this. Then I think the question on dysfunctional, is this department dysfunctional? I wouldn't say we're dysfunctional at all. I think the department acknowledges the serious implementation challenges that have resulted from the capacity constraints, the historic underperformance, the delays, and system weaknesses. So the response is not one of denial, but the response is one of a reality that we need to implement and improve restructuring and governance and expenditure monitoring and vacancy prioritization, as well as digital modernization and stronger accountability measures. And that's something that I think we're working on. We're taking accountability for the failures, and you can only improve if you can acknowledge that there are areas that are failures. So moving into June, we're already having our restructuring workshop in the first week. The second week, we're having the policy design sprint with the minister's intervention to look at how we fix policies, specifically looking at lease to title issues. How do we move this quicker, because it's getting stuck. It's creating a lot of pressure on the system. And then working towards the third quarter to finish the restructuring. But all along, spending time in filling these posts that we are prioritizing. We can't fill all 500 because we know that we're going to have a leaner and a meaner system going forward, relying more on a digital footprint, digital modernization. But we have to, and we accept that the challenges that we have are significant, but not insurmountable at this stage. Then what is being done about restitution delays? Because all these old claims that remain unresolved. And I think the Commission plans to settle 103 claims and finalize 284 claims in 2026-27. And over the medium term, the department plans to finalize 869 claims at a cost of 11 billion. Now, I think funding has always been the point, but if we looked at the past performance, funding wasn't the problem. The problem came in when we couldn't get the money out of the department to the officials, and that's a supply chain or a banking problem, and that is something we're going to have to focus on this year to fix. The other thing that we've also cleared up with the Accountant General through National Treasury is that one of the areas that we need to look at is when we are paying out grants to communities for post-settlement support. The question is why do we control it so carefully? And the key word here is, if you ask somebody to do a business plan for you, or you bring, that opens up the PFMA. If you tell somebody, here is your grant in full and final settlement, then you do not open up the PFMA, and that becomes an unrequited grant. So it just depends on how the community wants there, and what the department, how we design the program again to see if we can speed up delivery. The one problem that you have with unrequited grants or with money that goes to communities where we get involved in the PFMA is we need to control that money. The AGSA and National Treasury insist that we control that money. The problem that you have when you just give a community a full and final settlement into their bank account for development funds would be, what happens when that community comes back and says, 3 people got access to that account and used all that money and we never saw anything. What are you going to do about it? And that's the risk that we run as public sector officials or government, that we have to take care that the people that are supposed to get access to these funds indeed get access to them. On number 12, how will labor tenant claims be addressed? Labor tenant matters obviously remain a priority for tenure reform. The department will continue aligning implementation and on these matters, and also looking at provincial capacity, legal support, and improved reporting. One of the things we've done with the special master, with our team in special planning and land use management, is to build a system, a digital system, a geospatial system, to track and monitor these claimants more quickly, and also collect information from these claimants more quickly moving forward. Then what is being done to improve spending efficiency? I think here the department has introduced improved alignment between budgets and the demand plans, and I think I've already spoken to this one. I'm not going to go back into this. How will development funds translate into impact? And I think this is where rural development comes in, and the spending will focus on the rural youth, and then the socioeconomic interventions in rural areas. Now, there's two sides to the rural development program. One is that outward-looking side that strongly links to the IRDSS pillars. And there we want to coordinate across government and make sure that we can measure how government in general is performing in rural development. But then there's the internal part of rural development, that part that looks at our communities, our 17% of land, the rural communities. How do we spend our money on ensuring that when other departments can't implement, that we get involved, work through our cooperation agreements, and help deliver certain items that are key, critical infrastructure that is catalytic for rural development. So the department is strengthening this intergovernmental coordination, looking at better monitoring, looking at better linking jobs, livelihoods, and infrastructure. And I think one of the things here with the NARISEC youth is, in the past, NARISEC youth were trained and they didn't find homes. And I think, to the credit of the rural development team and Didi Moyo, every single youth that goes through the NARISEC program now leaves there with a job, and gets taken up into the sector somewhere, whether it's Bidvest, whether it's drone pilots, whatever, we find those jobs before we train them. Then what is the department doing about digital modernization? And I think I spoke a lot about this already, that the department is prioritizing automation. It's looking at deeds modernization, including the deed system. And as these systems come online and their modules get developed, we believe that the improved spatial and cadastral information systems and ICT investments will improve turnaround times, accountability, and service delivery. And then one of the key things that I think will come online in the next 2 quarters is the Interministerial Committee on Spatial Governance that was approved by Cabinet in June last year. We've had to sign a number of memorandums of agreement with the Department of Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation, which we've done. Myself and the DG have signed. In that agreement, we agreed that the National Spatial Development Framework, that was an MDTP target of the Department of Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation, is now a target of our department from this year in our APP. We will also be building the National Spatial Data Observatory, and this can really be seen as a national land information system, whereby we have the core data sets that then we help other departments, all the other national departments, through this IMC on spatial governance, to provide better decision-making in an interrelated way as we build the National Spatial Development Framework 2050 going forward. So I think, in conclusion, Chairperson and committee members, the department doesn't underestimate the committee's concerns. We also respect the committee, and therefore the 26-27 response on this budget is focused on implementation, discipline, improved institutional capacity, and expenditure control. to support beneficiaries and measurable reporting. Chair, I thank you. I want to close on that. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Acting DG. Honorable Minister, it was still your turn and your team to respond to questions. I'm not too sure whether there are any questions that you feel were not adequately addressed.
No, Honorable Chair, I think he responded to all the questions.
Okay, thank you. I wonder if honorable members would like to make any follow-up questions or observations or comments.
Chair, if I may. Is Honorable Maseko?
No, Honorable
Yes,
Maseko.
Honorable Maseko, you are on the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, just a comment that I think listening to the response of the acting DG, the request that we did in the past to have at least about 2 days of interacting with the DDGs of the different branches is going to be important that we have to do that, and looking at the APP and the budget allocation so that when we reach the stage of the adjustment budgets, the concern that comes from the portfolio committee should be taken into cognizance by the department for us to contribute in that. And we really need to get to the root of our oversight role in making sure also we contribute in making sure that this department delivers as it promises to do. So we have to engage, Chair. So just note that it's not as the Chair of Chairs refused the other time. It doesn't mean that it's off the plan. We still have to do that, Chair. We will appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Maseko. Indeed, by the sheer look at the magnitude of the work that still needs to be done, it is imperative that the idea of having a session with the leadership of the department, including the leadership of the branches, who is still a very valid and a viable option in my view. You know, to thresh out all of these issues that are coming out, and some of them are actually a backlog in the operations of the department. So one would actually pursue that with the House chairperson.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
I was going to say, Chair, we were looking forward to the meeting that was supposed to be in Pretoria. The meeting that we're informed that the Chair of Chairs did not give you permission. So all I'm saying is that we can work with the Chair and the committee and look for another suitable date. We are also looking forward to that engagement, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Well, if there are no any other comments from honorable members,
Chairperson.
Yes,
Honorable
Chair.
Nyambosa, is this your hand?
Yes.
I think it's my
Yes,
hand,
Chair.
Chairperson, because it's fine.
I have also a hand. Should I go on, Chair?
I also have a hand, Chairperson. I've been having my hand up since the beginning when the honorable members were asked if they have any inputs or questions, Chair. Thank you.
Hello, I'll have you, Honorable Nyambose, and then Honorable Van Wyk.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. No, I'm just also commenting on the issue of the engagement that the department is putting forward with the CPAs, that there needs to be a strengthening of the relationship, the issues of governance. And I want to put it across to say, in the same breath that the department is engaging the CPAs, I would like to see them doing the same with Amakosi as well, because you are acknowledging that the space where CPAs are operating, it is within the space of Amakosi. So if you find them, but you seem to be engaging one segment, not neglecting the fact that, yes, there is COCTA, but now on the issue of land, you have the traditional leadership institution in the space where you have imposed the CPA. I'm saying imposed deliberately because when you compare the two institutions, the other is a latecomer from the other. So I would like to see a commitment. We go parallel. You engage CPAs, then you engage Amakos. So to find a solution, because if you engage one side, you are aggravating the other side, which we are not engaging, and assuming that everything is okay. And I'm taking advantage of the fact that Ingonyama Trust, as it exists in KZN, it may not exist in other provinces, but Kunamakos, there are kings there which are suffering from the same problem of CPAs versus Amakos. But there is no engagement intentionally from the side of the department. I'm asking that that should be done if we are serious about resolving the issue of land. Thank you.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable, yes. Is that the Honorable Minister?
Yes, Chair. Honorable Chair, we have engaged all. Honorable Chair.
On the floor, Honorable Minister.
Now, Chair, I wanted to say to Honorable Nyombose that as we engaged all CPAs from 9 provinces throughout the country, in all those meetings, we have also extended the invitation to Amakos. They were always part of all the engagements from 9 provinces. And as we're moving forward to a national CPA in Daba, we'll also be inviting Amakos. I just wanted to make that correction, that we always have meetings with CPAs and Amakos under one roof, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Can I just add to that, Honorable Chair?
Honorable Van Wyk.
Honorable Chairperson, greetings and greetings to Minister, the DJ, and all the other honorable members who's on the platform. Honorable Chair, from my side, I would just like to congratulate, without fear or favor, the work that the department has done for the past 2 years, Chairperson. The minister came in, and the minister was the first minister in the history since 1994 who was actually bold enough to include everybody in South Africa when it comes to land claims, title deeds, land restitution, and so forth. Now, we can't come and expect here that the minister must fix everything in almost 2 years. So, Minister, I would like to congratulate you. I would like you to know that I am one of those who follow the work that you are doing, and I support you without fear or favor. It is on record. Chairperson, I would also like to address the issue of CPAs. CPAs in South Africa is indeed a problem when it comes to Amakosi uh, and Koi and San leaders in South Africa. I want to make an exception here in terms of an example. The CPA of the Richtersveld, for example, we know for a fact that there is minerals in the Richtersveld, and the CPA, like many other CPAs, they have counselors serving on that CPA from a certain political party. We must not be scared to say it, but it is a fact. Many CPAs are even implicated with corruption, especially the one of the Richtersveld. This committee last year have taken a resolution, for example, against the CPA of the Richtersveld, for them to be disbanded. That same CPA was even in court. Some of their members, they were released on bail, like 100,000 rand bail. But that same CPA was reinstated now by the chief director in the Northern Cape of Land Reform. There is a letter that I have of evidence. Why were they reinstated? I would just like to know from the department, why were they reinstated? Steinkov in Namakwaland, the CPA of Steinkov, they still don't have their title deed. What is the issue that they still don't have their title deed? Then lastly, Chairperson Kruyo, Minister, I would just like to ask you a straightforward question. The Koi and San and Traditional Leadership Bill is tabled uh, on the committee of COCTA. And we have realized in that bill, the issue of land are not being addressed. The same as the issue of the ocean economy, the same with the issue of language. We have brought it up and we have suggested to COCTA that we must have bilateral meetings with land reform, DSECT, forest and fishery. So we can hear from the ministers of that departments. Are they willing to support us for land to be also incorporated in the bill of Koi and San and traditional leaders? Thank you very much. Chair.
Well, thank you.
Honorable Chair, I'm having a gadget that doesn't allow me to raise a hand. Can I say something?
Yes, if I may know who's that, honorable member?
Deputy Minister.
Oh, thank you, honorable Deputy Minister.
Yes, I've been listening patiently, Chairperson, throughout. But I think we, as the leadership and the politicians, we need to be honest about this issue of CPAs. The issue of CPAs is not an issue for the department. It's an issue, it's a political matter. It's an issue for all of us. Because if we don't want to accept that as politicians in this parliament, then even the issue of Ingonyama Trust will not be able to resolve it. We need to understand that we need to address the system that deals with land tenure politically. Something that we are very reluctant of doing as politicians and political parties in government. So, and that, I'm saying this, Chairperson, because I've been a public servant and administrator for many, many years. And I've always been frustrated with this as head of the department and all these kind of things. Because politicians would want administrators to resolve issues that are not issues of administrators, are actually issues of politicians themselves. But because they are political issues, hot political issues, who are unable to address this. But the issue of CPAs, we need to sit down as politicians and address it appropriately. How do you relate the concept of the relationship, the political relationship to land between politicians, administration, and amakosis or mahoshi? That is a very serious issue that we need to honestly address, but we are not approaching. We are. I don't want to say that we are afraid to approaching it, Chairperson, but we are not doing that. We want to scratch the surface. I was listening to Comrade Nyambo speaking. He's attempting to get closer to it, but he's reluctant to go to cut to the chases. But at the end of the day, this is a political issue that we need to address in Parliament. That is a political issue that we need to address in Parliament. But there is no political party that want to own up to that. So for as long as we don't do that, the CPAs will remain a problem, Chairperson. I can attest to that. For as long as we are not doing that, the CPAs will remain a problem. So I was listening, but I said, but why don't we do this? And we can come up with a system that will resolve this problem. Otherwise, for example, the Ingonyama Trust must be should I say, a case in point that we need to address the issue of CPAs guided by what is happening in the Ngonyama Trust. But we are not prepared to address that as political parties and politicians in Parliament. And we want, or what happens, the administrators, the Director General, the whoever are suffering because of that. And I don't think that is right. This is our problem. It's not a problem of the department. It's not a problem of administration. It's a political problem. I just felt, Chairperson, perhaps I must just raise this matter. I may be throwing a cat in the pigeonhole, but that's something that we need to do. Sorry if I'm diverting you, Chairperson, but I just felt I need to raise this.
No, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Honorable Chair, can I please just come in there with due respect, Honorable Chair?
Okay, yes.
DM, I really support you in what you have said now and suggested that this is an issue between politicians and the CPA. I support that one. But what concerns me, since I became an alternate on this Land Reform Portfolio Committee, is always in Gonyama and Gonyama. What about the Richtersveld CPA who has corruption charges against them? They are out on bail, 100,000. The Deputy Minister, I wish you a speedy recovery out of my heart and all sincerity. But please respond also to the CPA of Rechtersveld, because it is unfashionable to do it on this committee when it comes to other communities. With due respect, Chairperson and Deputy Minister, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Honorable Van Riebeeck. It's a pity that you are raising a specific matter of that particular CPA. I'm not saying that it is wrong, but it's a pity that it's going to get lost in the whole milieu of issues that we are discussing, because we are specifically discussing the budget vote for tomorrow, which actually touches on a number of issues. I so wish we could actually very soon find in a space where we can actually focus directly on the issue of that particular CPA in the Northern Cape, so that we can actually do justice to it and actually find a way forward that could actually be adopted to resolve that particular problem.
In the meantime, Chair, can Honorable Van Riebeeck share the letter with us?
House Chair?
Yes.
Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Matthias.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Well, I've been listening, and my initial thought was, let's rather leave matters to be resolved in the House tomorrow. The horse has bolted. It's too late now to be lamenting of what should have happened in the last 33 years of ANC government, and save us from the rhetoric of the deputy minister and the excuses that he's throwing left, right, and center, and wanting to blame lack of transformation on land reform on all political parties and all politicians of all types, of all size, of all weight, of all stripes, of all ideologies. We've had that before, and we are not ready to listen to that once more. That's the first point. The second point is that we are dealing here with a department responsible for reversing one of the greatest injustices in our history. And this department for 33 years has been found wanting. And the legacy of failures and betrayals cannot be blamed on the current minister. He is trying the best. He's having his heart at the right place, but the magnitude of the work before him is too huge to be erased in 3 years. And I'm not speaking in defense. He will get to know what the EFF think of him and of his department tomorrow. But the point I'm making is, in all what we have said tonight, with all the excuses that have been made, this department has got no credibility whatsoever, has got no credible path for transformation. And that is a matter that shall be resolved at some point in our lifetime. I propose that, Honorable Chair, you agenda meeting, and let's meet in the ring tomorrow when we battle out these matters in full view of the people. Thank you so much.
Honorable Chairperson, I don't like doing this, but I have to do it. If the EFF is going to think, if Honorable Matthias is going to think that if we raise issues in a portfolio committee is for political purposes, for party political purposes, is very unfortunate. We're raising issues here because we want to resolve the problems of the country. It's not for party political purposes. And if you want to take me head on, I'm prepared to do that. And I'm available, Honorable Matthias. I can take you on.
I'm prepared to take you on at any given
Yes,
time,
I'm not
Deputy
afraid
Minister.
of you. I can take you
No,
on.
okay.
So,
Okay,
and I don't
Honorable
want us to
Deputy
get to
Minister.
that.
No,
I don't want
Honorable
to.
Chair, Honorable
Oh,
Chair,
okay,
No,
Honorable
Honorable
that is not,
Matthias,
Chair.
that is just
No,
not
Honorable
on.
okay,
Matthias must come and wait.
okay,
Tomorrow we
okay,
will come and we will
okay.
support this
All
department.
right.
We will
Hold your
support
horses,
the
honorable
Honorable
members.
Minister or the Deputy Minister. The EFF has been there since 2014. They must go and blame other people, not
Oh,
this
no,
seventh parliament.
point of
Under the
order.
Ministry of
Okay,
Minister
Honorable
in
Sunday,
Nyonso, we will
Honorable
support and
Sunday.
defense Minister in Nyonso.
Honorable
EFF
Van
unikom
Dyk,
speel hierso nie. Hulle like die
you are
lenne.
out of order now. You are out of order, Honorable Van Dyk. I was not.
I'm sorry,
This meeting is a special meeting to deal with the budget vote 42, which will be debated tomorrow. We have heard the responses of the minister. We have heard the presentations from the minister. We have asked questions. Questions have actually been responded to. And I think that we have actually done justice. All that is left for me is to thank the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Deputy Minister, and the Acting Director General and his team, to thank the Honorable members for actually making time and for their contributions that they've made. And actually, close the meeting by saying that, Honorable Minister, I honestly feel that we need to improve our interaction, your interaction with the committee, and the interaction between the two of us, the minister and the chair of the committee. It's very, very important. It's to the benefit of all our work. As Parliament, we need to know what the executive is doing, because it's a constitutional injunction, it's a constitutional mandate on our part that we should, from time to time, interact with the executive with the view to actually exercising our oversight role. So I so wish we could actually improve that kind of interaction and communication. On that note, the meeting is actually adjourned. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, honorable minister and your team. The meeting is adjourned, as I have said. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Chairperson.
much,
Thank
Chair.
you.
We'll meet in
Thank
the
you
green
all.
tomorrow, EFF.
Thank you, Chair.